Alright guys, Darren from FBA Elite and welcome back to another video. So in last week's video I discussed how I was going to go through the process of launching my next product, and I invited you guys to join me on this journey as you launch either your first product or additional products if you already have a successful Amazon FBA business. So what I want to do in this video is focus on product research. It's one of the key areas to success with Amazon FBA. It's also one of the many areas that people do get stuck. Now before I get into the actual methods of how to do product research, which I'm probably going to come back to in next week's video, what I want to do in this week is focus on the criteria that you're looking for. A lot of people get stuck because they don't actually know what they're looking for. So I've put together a cheat sheet. There are 10 bullet points which hopefully will put you guys in good stead for finding products that will actually sell well on Amazon. So here we go. This is the cheat sheet. I've tried to strip this back and make it as simple as possible. I've seen a few of these online and they go into way too much detail, and I think a lot of people get lost and actually don't want to read them. So hopefully these 10 bullet points will be nice, short and succinct, and will give you guys everything you need to know to find a product that hopefully will sell on Amazon. So the first thing that I want you guys to do with any product is to ask yourself 3 different questions. 1, what are your profit goals for this product? 2, are they realistic? And 3, how will you achieve this? So if we break this down, so when you think about your goals for this product, how much money do you want to make? Now I ask this to everyone that I mentor or anyone that asks me about Amazon FBA. I ask them how much money they want to make from their product. Now generally speaking, most people seem to target about £1,000 for their first product, and I think that is a realistic target, obviously dependent on your budget. So have a think about what your profit goals are for the product. There's no point just going to Amazon and start looking for random products you have no idea what you're actually trying to find. The next thing you need to ask yourself is, are those goals realistic? So if you're trying to make £1,000 and you've only got £500 to invest, that's probably going to be a little bit difficult. However, if you've got £5,000 to invest and you want to make £2,000, that's probably realistic. What I would try and do is limit your expectations to no more than 100% ROI. So if you have, say, £1,000 to invest, I wouldn't realistically aim to make more than £1,000 from that product per month. I'm not saying it's not possible, it will just be more difficult. And then finally, I want you to have a think about how you actually achieve this goal. So if you want to make, say, £1,000 per month, will you do it by selling 500 units at £2 profit, or will you do it by selling 100 units at £10 profit? I'm not saying you have to commit to an exact figure, just be aware there are multiple combinations of sales, price points and profit margins that can get you to your goals. So don't go into this too rigid, otherwise you might find it difficult. You might miss out on an opportunity just because you weren't hitting a specific target that you've already set in your mind, which actually, if you're more flexible, you might find there are more opportunities to hit the same overall goal. The other question I want you to ask yourself before we get into the criteria that I'm going to give you is, do you have an interest or knowledge of the niche that you're looking at? And the reason I ask this, if you're looking at products that you understand, you'll have a much better chance of spotting opportunities and how you can enhance that product. So for example, if you'd have asked me a year ago to go into the baby niche, I'd have had no idea what I was looking at. But now I've had the best part of 11 months experience of being a dad. If I was going to launch a baby related product, I would like to think I'd have a better idea on how to improve those products. And that applies to any interest or hobbies that you may have. Capitalize on all the knowledge and experience you have to pick niches that you know the most about. So right, getting into the actual criteria itself, the sales stroke revenue. And the reason I've called it sales stroke revenue is people might look into product research in different ways. Some people look at units sold, which is the way I go. Other people focus on the revenue. I'm not saying either is right or wrong, but the key thing is you need to be seeing, in my eyes, at least 5 unknown branded FBA sellers. And by that I mean 5 FBA sellers in the search results with brands that you do not recognize, so that you can enter the niche confidently knowing at least 5 other sellers are hitting comparable sales and at the price point you would be looking at as well. So for example, if you wanted to sell a product £20 and 200 units, I would be looking for around 5 sellers selling between maybe 150 to 250 units, somewhere between the £15 to £25 price point. Like I say, all of the stuff I'm going to give you on this page isn't an exact science. It's about the overall thing. It's getting a feel for the product as a whole and the opportunity as a whole. So just because one thing might not exactly match the criteria I give you in this presentation doesn't mean you should exclude that product if the other points are strong enough to justify going ahead with it. The next thing I want you to focus on is the visual selling point, and this is why point 2, which is do you have an interest or knowledge of the niche, is so important. How are you visually going to stand out in the search results against existing listings? So when you go into Amazon and you put in the product keywords you're searching for, you see all of the search results. How are you actually going to visually stand out? It's all very good enhancing a product, but unless those enhancements are visual, it's very, very difficult to persuade someone to click on your listing over someone else. And this follows on to the next point, which is how you're going to add perceived value to the product. Now, sometimes the visual selling point you give the product might also be the perceived value. There'll definitely be some overlap between the two, but you definitely need to find a way of visually standing out in the niche. And secondly, also adding perceived value, because what you want to do is imagine the customer experience. They get to the search results, they see all of these products. You need to catch that eye first with the visual selling point, and then you need to hit them with your perceived value. So this listing looks good, and it also offers X, Y, Z. So this has greater perceived value than these other listings. So really, really think about those two and rely on your interest and your knowledge of that niche to give you the ideas you need to stand out in that sector. Up next is seasonality. This is quite a simple one. I would say if you just want to keep things simple, avoid all seasonal products. If you're really struggling to find products, I would say avoid short seasons such as Christmas or Easter, but I might consider longer seasons such as summer as winter, as it gives you kind of a 6-month window for selling your product. We then have size and weight. You have a few options here. You've got the small and light products, which are small enough to pop on a plane and air freight over. These are really good if you want to get your FBA business up and running. Also, if you don't have lots of capital to invest, air freight products can be really good because the turnaround time is quite quick, so it really, really helps with cash flow. However, you'll probably find there are more opportunities when you look at standard size products, so you will need to sea ship these in to remain competitive and generate a decent profit margin. But it just means your timescales are longer. So instead of maybe being between 3 and 6 weeks for an air freight product, you might be looking between 8 to 12 weeks for a sea shipped product. The only thing I would say is avoid oversized products. So I'll put the dimensions there. Anything that is over that size once packaged up, I would avoid that. And that is mainly due to the IPI threshold restrictions. Now, I've covered that in many previous videos. That Amazon have implemented restrictions on the IPI, which is the amount of inventory you can actually send to Amazon. And also there are ASIN level inventory restrictions as well. However, for the purposes of oversized products, you generally have a lot less oversized storage than you have for your total IPI allowance. So keep in mind, if you launch an oversized product, you'll probably have a very, very small allowance. So you probably won't even be able to use the 200 ASIN limit you can at the moment for other products because the oversized restrictions are so harsh. So I'd say to anyone, definitely avoid oversized, especially for your first product. Reviews, this is going to be a controversial one, as everyone else will talk about avoiding niches where there are thousands of reviews. My personal preference is I like to see at least a couple of sellers, maybe in double figure reviews, so it shows that it is possible to land on that first page with only double figure reviews. However, if you add a strong enough visual selling point and perceived value that I mentioned earlier, in my opinion, the reviews become fairly irrelevant. You can imagine the scenario: the customer lands at the search results, sees someone with maybe a 4.5 star or a 5-star review, and then they see your product next to it, which maybe has a 4-star review or a 5-star review, but you offer something they do not offer. If your product offers something that that listing does not have, regardless of what the star rating is, the customer will choose what they want, not what the actual star rating says. Well, that's just my opinion. I know many people will disagree with that, but if you get your visual selling point right and your perceived value right, then the reviews are a lot less important than many people will lead you to believe. And it also may open up a lot more niches to you that you probably would have excluded previously. The only caveat to that, I personally avoid niches where there are lots of products with a 5-star average, as that can be very, very difficult to maintain. You only need to get maybe 1 or 2 1-stars, and it makes it very difficult to maintain that 5-star average. We then have price point and profitability. I would say anything above £10, below that you're going to struggle to make a good profit when you consider all of the FBA fees, and the profit margin aiming for around 30% or above. I've also got in the brackets there the 33% rule, and this is something I generally go by. So basically, if I'm selling on Amazon for £10, I would expect 33% to be going to the supplier and the freight forwarder, 33% to Amazon, and then 33% to myself. Now obviously that isn't an exact figure, but generally that is what you'd be looking at. So if you're selling a product for £15, maybe a bit aiming for £5 profit, FBA fees of about £5, and about £5 landed cost from your supplier. So that's why I mentioned the 33% rule there. And then finally at the end we have restrictions. Now I've put this at the end as you only want to waste time on this if everything else checks out. So check if the category is gated. Does the product require any approval or additional documentation? Is it prohibited in any way, or are there any hazmat materials that you need to be aware of? And also do a quick search for any trademarks or possible patents which may get in the way of you actually selling that product. So hopefully you guys might take a screenshot of this or print it out and use it as a very quick cheat sheet to help you put yourself in the right position for finding the right product. So like I say, in next week's video, I'll probably show you a few different ways to find a product on Amazon, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter which method you use to find products as long as you're looking in the right way, which hopefully this cheat sheet will allow you to do. Now, I did mention in last week's video that I would answer all of the questions from the previous week's video in the next week's video. So if you've got any questions about this cheat sheet, put them in the comments and I'll answer them next week. But just before I wrap this video up, let's jump back to last week's video and answer all of the questions that I said I would. So thank you to everyone that watched the video and also all of the likes. And again, if you found this video useful, make sure you hit that like button while you're down there posting your questions. And even the person that hit the thumbs down, I mean, YouTube loves all engagement, so all thumbs up and thumbs down are appreciated. So, it looks like I've got a few more comments than expected here. This is the first time I've actually looked at this, so I'll try and pick the ones that are actually questions. So up first we've got Kylie. Awesome, I'll be following your progress. My product will be ready Q1. Hopefully all of us will have our products ready for Q1. I wanted it for Christmas, understandable. Many of us wanted to try and get a product in, but I think it's just realistic now to expect January to be the month that we aim for, maybe February. Everything sent to my home address, boxing out lots of work to do. Hope all my hard work pays off. Yeah, that applies to yourself and everyone else. Hope everyone is involved in this process, it all works out. Up next we have Boxer. If you launch by January, would that mean you're going to have more than 1 month of inventory due to the Chinese New Year in February? Yeah, potentially. I'll be happy to bring in a couple of months of inventory. I won't be sending it all to Amazon to start with. I'll be using a 3PL so they can store some of that inventory. Obviously for me, having built the capital in the business, I can afford to take a greater risk. However, I understand that some of you with less capital, definitely be aware of that the Chinese New Year could get in the way of things, and just try to plan things accordingly around that. So do your own research into that, find out what your lead times are like with your supplier, what your sell-through rate is, all of that, and then you can judge when you think you may need to reorder stock. I'm getting a little confused about the order of getting things done. What first, what second? A checklist would be great. Yeah, that's a great question. I think maybe that is something that I could put together either in a future video or maybe something I'll put on the FBA Elite resource section at some point. I would say initially just make sure that you definitely want to proceed with Amazon FBA. So spend a good few weeks researching it and make sure you're in the position to actually start the business. And then if you are, things I would start with are actually setting up your limited business and your bank account. Sometimes setting up a bank account can take a few days to a few weeks. And once those are in position, then there's nothing really stopping you pushing forward once you find your product and open up your Seller Central account and stuff like that. But definitely a checklist is something that may be worth putting together, and if I do, of course, I'll let you guys know. I find you to be very real and down to earth. Thank you, Wise Eyes. Not like some of the others who always feel put on the front. My question is, what are your top 5 things we mustn't do when launching the first product to avoid accounts being banned, blocked, restricted by Amazon? I mean, it'd probably take a while to put together a list of things to avoid. There's lots of different traps. I think the most important one is just making sure you have not had an Amazon account before in any way, shape or form, or anyone you could be kind of closely related to has either. I've seen that far too many times where people open an account only to find out they had another obscure account somewhere from many, many years ago. So not so much a list of a top 5, but certainly the one thing to make sure before you do anything is you do not have another account already, because if you open up another one, it will cause you big problems. Up next, Howie92. Is it worth opening a limited company and the bank ASAP? Our bank took over 2 weeks. Yeah, this goes back to what I was just saying. Definitely, as soon as you're confident you are proceeding with your business, open up your limited business and then start getting your business bank account in order. Fab, just what I need. Thanks, Darren. You're welcome. I've been stuck on product research since late May. Hopefully this cheat sheet will help. Would you please explain why limited as opposed to sole trader? If you go to the FBAelite.com forums, go to the resource section, I have a video dedicated to explaining the benefits of going the limited company route. So hopefully you will find that helpful. Great idea, Dara. Thank you. When setting up the business, would you recommend using a website company that you can use to set up your name and also give you a company address, so you don't need to use your home address for privacy? Yeah, certainly an option. I use a local business centre. I pay around £20 a month for a mailbox, so my business is all registered there. So my business address that's on Amazon is that address and not my personal home address. Another person that's been stuck on product research from May, can't decide which is the right one. Hopefully this cheat sheet will help you. I think someone else in the comments has mentioned this. As a newbie, I simply do not know where to start. Okay, yeah, so again, another call for the checklist. If you guys want me to put together a checklist for Amazon FBA, let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can put together. Mate, great idea, looking forward to following along. Thank you, hopefully you're going to follow this week's video as well. Great video. Question, does your software help with inventory management, also raising purchase orders? No, not the software that I use. It may have a facility, but I haven't actually looked into it. I'm quite happy managing the inventory myself. It's very easy to see in Amazon as well, but no, my software that I use doesn't do any of that. Yes, please, I want in on this. You should offer mentoring. I do actually offer mentoring, however, it is at capacity. It's all done via the FBA Elite forums. It's £99 a month to send me as many messages as you like. But like I say, it is at capacity. So if anyone's interested in mentoring, message me on FBA Elite and I'll put you onto the waiting list. When is the first video coming out? It's out now. Hey Darren, I was just wondering if you're thinking selling cycling gloves on Amazon is too competitive market or not. If it wasn't, it will be after this video. I'd have to do some research into looking at that individually. I wouldn't necessarily put the products you're interested in comment sections or on public forums, because you will kind of attract people to actually look into those niches themselves. I would like to know which is easier to start for a complete beginner: wholesale, on an oversize, white label. It seems different gurus recommend different things. I can't really comment on all of the other things, as I specialise in private label, so I'm always going to have that as a preference, and I could find arguments for and against all of the others. But if you want to get the most value out of me, go down the FBA private label route. This is great, looking forward to this. Thank you, Claire. Up next we have Nova Creative Solutions. Great idea. I'm in. Would like your viewpoint on using Amaze for product research, please. It's not something I've spent an awful lot of time using. I have been contacted by pretty much every maker of product research software for Amazon asking me to promote them on the channel. You guys know that I am firmly in bed, or not in bed with, but I strongly recommend Helium 10. That is the one that I rely on. It's the one I use. So I can't really say give you an unbiased opinion on Amaze, as I haven't used it in enough detail to actually know whether it's any good or not. Great idea. Thank you for taking time to guide us newbies through the process. Thanks, Steve. Hopefully you'll find this video useful as well. Great idea. Looking forward to seeing your weekly reports. Excited for the series. Okay, hi Darren. 2 questions I have. Is limited company necessary in the beginning? That would be my preference, as I've just started in doing OA, RA as a sole trader, and would rather deal in that to get started and transition to a limited once I build some capital. Yes, that is a route you can take. It can be a bit of a pain to transition a company once you're set up with Seller Central. I know a couple of people that have done it, and it is possible. Just be aware that it might take you a little bit of time and some paperwork to actually get that transition in place. But if you're comfortable going down that route, then by all means proceed down that route and then switch over to a limited once you feel confident. What would you say is a sum to start PL for FBA? As mentioned above, I'm a beginner to this private label, especially, so capital is limited. I think I've actually got a video on my channel which looks at different options for starting an Amazon FBA business. So depending on your budget, it's possible. I'd say pretty much from £1,000 upwards is a good place to start Amazon FBA from. But if you look back through my video archive, I'll probably put a link in the top comment as well for anyone that can't find that, and that talks about all of the costs that you need to be aware of when starting an Amazon FBA business. Been following you and a few YouTubers for a while now. A couple of days ago, me and my partner finally ordered our sample. Congratulations. A very exciting time when you first start getting into actually seeing and feeling these products. Just need to find a decent freight forwarder to help with the shipment. Shout out to Woodland Global. Have always been really good for me, and at the moment I'm using Westbound Logistics, as they can offer 3PL services as well. Our motivation is to set up our own business during lockdown. Me and my partner had a lot of time together and we both hated our jobs. I think many people have realised during lockdown that they've actually hate their jobs, just like they do at Christmas, but lockdown has kind of amplified that, as it gave you a lot more time to think about it without the Christmas festivities to distract us from how much we actually hate our jobs. We loved all the time we had together and wanted this lifestyle to continue for a potential passive income stream. Yeah, Amazon FBA can definitely contribute that. See it as a stepping stone to a passive income lifestyle. It's not the money that's driving us, it's having as much free time together. And that's exactly why I do it, to be honest. I could make more money selling courses and stuff like that, but it's all about work-life balance. So I like to work a couple of days a week, do the mentoring as and when I do, and running the Amazon business and stuff like that. It allows me a lot more time to spend with my family, which is exactly what you want to do, and it's what many people want to do as well. Some people just want to make as much money as possible, and I completely understand that as well. Scroll down a bit further. Hi, how much would it cost in total to start Amazon FBA, please? Like I said, anywhere from £1,000 you'll probably be good, providing you target the right products. Dennis here is great idea and timing. Thanks, Dennis. I'm starting now too. That's great. Love it. Great idea. Thank you. Great initiative. Can't wait. Also, mate, looking forward to the next one. Top stuff, Darren. Thank you, everyone. I've gone down the wholesale and arbitrage route so far for selling on Amazon. However, I'd like to do private label in the future. I've watched about 25% of the Freedom course, which comes with Helium 10, if you're not aware of that. whilst it is a very good course and legit, I find it a bit too USA centric for learning how to set up a first business on Amazon. I'm keen to watch your videos over the coming weeks. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think any of the course that isn't focused on the UK is always going to be a bit USA centric, and many of the big kind of YouTubers you will see are all focused towards the USA. Now the concepts in theory should mostly be similar. The actual process of setting up businesses and the rules and regulation and tax system in our country are different. So definitely, yeah, hopefully by following me through this process, it will kind of help you on the way. And to look through my video library, there's probably lots of videos on all of the topics you'll see in most courses. Awesome, can't wait to see this from start to finish. Thanks, mate. Thank you, James. Hi, Darren. What credit cards would you recommend for paying your suppliers with? I actually don't use a credit card anymore. I always pay with bank transfer and TransferWise. I'd use any credit card you want for the first order. You know, you can obviously, with people like Stlin or Revolut, you'll probably get a credit card with a better exchange rate. But once I've paid for my first order and trusted that supplier, I then switched to bank transfer via TransferWise, which is still possible to get trade assurance protection, providing you use the bank details that are available through Alibaba. We've been working very hard to launch our first product, and we're just about to make our first payment, but we've done the numbers and realised we have cash flow issues. We need to pour more money in order to afford the bigger second order. And any advice on how to deal with these kind of cash flow issues, especially when you have little capital? Yeah, it's a common problem that many new sellers face. It's something I faced at the beginning. You plan for it, but it's very difficult to manage the cash flow for a successful Amazon FBA business. When I started, I invested £5,000 or so of my own money. Before I knew it, within 3 months, I had over 20k of my own money invested, despite the fact on paper I was making money. I had 20k invested in the business. So look at different ways you can get money, but I would avoid going into debt if possible, because you cannot trust Amazon 100%. So yeah, it is a tricky balance, but it all comes down to what risk you're comfortable with. But my recommendation would be to avoid getting into debt when you're experimenting or gambling, shall I say, with an Amazon FBA business. Gained a sub with this idea. Welcome. Great, thank you. Monzo Banking literally was able to open a personal account and business account within 2 to 3 working days. Interesting. I haven't heard many people actually using Monzo, so I'd love to hear from anyone else that's found them good. Does your limited company name need to be the brand name of your product? No, it does not. I personally do that, as I like the symmetry between the two. But no, you can have one limited company and many brand names under that. Daniel says, great initiative. Can't wait to see your PPC campaigns work. Yep, I'll definitely be documenting setting up the PPC campaigns when I get to that stage, and how much you pay for a launch before you reach break even. That will be, you know, for me getting to how much I need to spend on a product, how much it requires to be spent. I don't launch a product with a particular budget in mind. If I'm going after a product, I'm going after it to succeed. So if I need to pump in $2,000 to launch it, I'll pump in whatever money I require to launch that product. But I'll definitely document that as I go. This will bring in new subscribers and hopefully forum traffic. Yeah, so Daniel was mentioning FBA Elite. So if you're not signed up, head over there, sign up. It's completely free. Finally, I wish you that your wife starts a separate company and Amazon FBA business and quitting her job. We have discussed that actually, but she prefers her job and interacting with people. I'm quite happy working on my own. So it's not a route she actually wants to go down to, despite the fact I've tried to kind of explain to her all of the benefits of going that route. And by the way, such a plan would lead to increased family business security of Amazon suspending accounts. Yeah, I'd rather actually diversify away from Amazon, like I have been doing with multiple income streams that aren't reliant on Amazon, and then you feel much more secure when you are gambling with Amazon. So why not a new product and new company instead? Yeah, getting a second account is possible. It's probably not something I'm going to look into. I'm just sticking with the one account at the moment, and expense of additional accountancy fees. Yeah, accountancy fees, once you have a successful Amazon FBA business, accountancy fees are very, very small fry in comparison. I think this could be spam because it's got a nice avatar, possibly another spam there. I'm having a nightmare trying to get a business bank open with Stlin. They want copies of invoices before they take it any further. Yeah, a lot of people have different people had struggles with Stlin. A lot of people have resolved them by just calling them. So maybe give Stlin a call, because sometimes when you actually speak to someone versus going for a system, it can be a lot easier. Give them a call. There's also various threads on FBA Elite about Stlin as well, so other people hopefully will be able to support you with those questions. I don't recommend a Cash Plus business account for Amazon. They're a nice challenger bank to deal with and easy to get hold of on the phone. However, Amazon Seller Central will not approve the Cash Plus MasterCard to pay the seller fees, as it's a prepaid card, and Amazon will not approve Cash Plus business account for disbursements from your Amazon sales. I've since opened an account with Barclays. Their Visa debit card is fine for paying the monthly fees with. Yeah, I have seen mixed reports with lots of different banks with this type of issue. So if you are thinking about, if you have a bank in mind that you want to open your business account with, just do a quick search on Google, see if anyone's had any issues opening an Amazon FBA account with that bank, as it is something that can cause issues down the line if you get it wrong when you start out. Hi Darren, can I still use cheap barcodes instead of GS1? My personal recommendation would still be to stick with official GS1 barcodes. Alternatively, instead of going for the cheap ones, I would go the GTIN exemption route, where you can apply to Amazon, then you don't actually need a barcode as it is a private label product. Darren, are you Australian? Let's see what the replies are. No, he's from England. I get why you say that if you're American, but it's completely different accents. Yeah, I am from England, but to be fair, every time I've either been to Canada or America, I do get asked whether I'm Australian, from New Zealand, or even South Africa I've had, so fair point. I hear a lot of people recommending TransferWise for banking. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I do use that for paying my supplier. So hopefully you guys have found that useful. But I know this video has gone on a bit long, as I did not expect it to be that many questions, but if you've got any questions about this week's cheat sheet, make sure you put them in the comments. If you're not subscribed, scroll down, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you can follow this journey as we all progress together. And if you're not yet signed up at FBAelite.com, head over there. It's completely free. We've got over 2,000 members discussing Amazon FBA. I'm on there most days asking questions, so make sure you sign up, and I'll see you guys on the forums.